+1 -1 is coming back for testing in World of Tanks console. That's right, there is talk of it coming back permanently. We've been waiting over 6 years since they first started testing this, and then, well, actually, since they stopped testing it. No, when they first started testing it was 6 years ago. When they stopped, it was 5 years ago. So since they first started testing it, almost 6 years we've been waiting for them to implement +1 -1. But in December of 2020, they said that they do not have the player base to split the matchmaking queue. And then in December, same month, same year, they split the matchmaking queue into 8 categories. We had one matchmaker for all the tiers. Tiers 1, Tiers 2, Tiers 3, all the way up to Tier 10. Now we have 8 matchmaking queues, and Sod Madhaven pointed this out, and I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. So Wargaming said they could not split matchmaking. Then they introduced 6.0. And now, if I jump over here, let's take a look here. I'm looking at my bar because I'm about to finish this. Oh yeah, oh yeah. We've got World War II multiplayer and World War II co-op. That's 2 matchmaking queues. Then we have Cold War multiplayer and Cold War co-op. You think, oh, that's 2 more queues, giving us a total of 4. Well, you'd be close, but you'd be wrong. And here's why. It's because we have 3 different eras in Cold War. 3 eras. Each one has its own matchmaking queue. Era 3 is its own, Era 2 is its own, Era 1 is its own. So you've got 3 of those in multiplayer, then you've got 3 of those in Cold War, or in co-op. Yeah. So you have 8, and then you might be thinking to yourself, well, CloneGuy, what about World War II? Doesn't that mean you have 10 if you're gonna talk like that? The answer is no, and the reason being is because Tier 1 feeds into Tier 2, Tier 2 feeds into Tier 3, Tier 3 feeds into Tier 4, Tier 4 feeds into Tier 5, Tier 5 feeds into Tier 6 and 7. Tier 6 feeds into Tier 7 and 8. You get the idea, but I'm going to continue anyway. Tier 7 feeds into Tier 8 and 9. Tier 8 feeds into Tier 9 and 10. Tier 9 feeds into Tier 10. And then there's Tier 10. And so, even if you are playing at Tier 1, Matchmaker is looking at you, even if there's another guy in Tier 10. And the reason for that is because it's wondering, oh, can I put you in a Tier 2 game? And it's like, maybe I can't. Maybe, can I put that Tier 2 into a Tier 3 game? Well, maybe I can't, and so on and so forth. And that feeds all the way up to Tier 10. So it's 1 queue. So they went from saying we cannot split the queue into 2 queues to splitting it a month later into 8 different queues. So Wargaming, the fact that that's on you. Absolute idiots over there. Anyway, so let's read into this real quick. We have new updates coming with our Quality of Life initiative, an ongoing effort to provide updates to the game and include you in the development and testing process. We'll be running a week-long test for +1 -1 matchmaking. What this means is that any tier in World War II co-op or multiplayer modes, you can expect matches to include tanks that are no more than 1 tier higher or lower than your own tank. We understand that this has been a highly requested feature, so over the last few months, we've made some improvements to our game and server performance that could better support +1 -1 matchmaking. Our initial step to explore +1 -1 matchmaking is this live test. This will allow us to measure the performance of factors that would impact whether the change would be positive for all players. These are a few of the factors we'll be monitoring during the week of +1 -1 testing. Server capacity, especially on the EU cluster. Wait times in the queue, do not care. I do not care. I don't care. Stop it. Increase of bots, tanks, and matches. Well, that's because you're making the queue time shorter, which is stupid. Matchmaking efficiency during off-peak hours and community sentiment. If problems arise in any of the areas listed above during the test period, we may choose to end the +1 -1 test early and revert to our standard matchmaking. Alright, it starts tomorrow, by the way, the 30th, and goes until the 6th of October. All tiers in World War II multiplayer will support +1 -1. All multiplayer matches will include tanks no higher or lower than 1 tier. Select premium tanks with preferential matchmaking will be updated to support +0 -1 matchmaking during the test, so your super Pershing will always be top tier. And this is big. A lot of players are against it. And that's because their reasoning is we won't have enough variety in the matches. Which, I mean, that is an argument. But to say that at this point in the game is insane. Because and because calling out some community, not contributor, I don't know if they are or not, but people who make some content, especially specifically on Twitch, who talk about this, to say that there won't be enough variety is insane. Plus, these people usually just play tier 10, so they're always top tier anyway. And here's why that would be insane. Have you seen the amount of tanks that are in our game? Like, you go to America, there are 65. USSR, 76. 83. 60. 55. 33. 30. 14. 22. 16. 21. 26. And then we go over to the premium. 455. There are plenty of tanks in the queue. Plenty of tanks. Plenty of variety. Now, more than ever. Even with +1, -1. And so, the amount of tanks in the game completely defeats that argument. That argument is null and void. Maybe you could have had that argument back when we just had America, Germany, and Great Britain. When the game first came out, yeah, you could have that argument. But now, nah, that argument is... that ship has sailed. There is plenty of variety. And I know now in your T-62As and in your Averys, you're not going to be shooting Tiger 2s. I'm so sorry for you. Not really. But just to push my point forward, I'm going to use the very most recent game I played. And I'm going to show you the game I had in a +2, -2 game. And this +2, -2 game kind of just demonstrates how disgusting it is when you're 2 tiers higher than your opponents. Or how awful it is when you're 2 tiers lower. There's not much you could do. Especially because a lot of these tanks that are 2 tiers lower than you are grinding. They're stock. A stock AT-8, fighting a Tiger 2, fighting an Oho, even fighting medium tanks like a Centurion 1. It can't pen the Centurion 1. Anyway, here's the replay. I'm in the T-77. There's a 3-man platoon of SFACs on the enemy team. And hopefully I take a look at my team list again at some point. And I do. I see it in the timeline. There's a point which we do. And I'm going to point out right now so you can see it. There are no tier 7s in this game. It goes straight from tier 8 to tier 6. This is not good. And even if there were tier 7s feeding into tier 6, it still would not be good. Because you have people grinding their tier 6s. Even stock tier 7 struggles. And so watch this opening magazine. Hello, Mr. Tier 6. Probably grinding your tank, and now you're on fire. And now you're dead. Now 88. Hello. Boom. Dead. Welcome to tier 8. Welcome to +2, my friend. I hope you enjoyed. I guarantee he didn't. Because, well, now he gets to go back to his garage and actually grind, right? No, he gets to go back to his garage, but his tank isn't there. He doesn't get to grind that tank anymore. It's out of the game. Both of them out of the game. It's no fun for them. This is not good. And we have to consider the longevity of this game. If we want this game to survive, we have to consider what's best for the players. And right now, +2, -2 does not encourage you to grind your tanks. It only encourages you to go out and buy premiums, to go out and buy tier 10, so that you don't have to grind tanks, so you don't have to be stocked, so you don't have to go bottom tier. And so +1, -1 gives you a reason to grind again. And grinding tanks in this game is the best thing for it, because it populates the servers, it populates the queue, and it creates the most variety. And it mixes it up for the players playing as well, because now they're playing different tanks. And so you want players grinding in this game. You want free-to-play players. You need them in a game like this. And right now, we don't have that. Most players playing this game put money into the game. And just so you know, a statistic that was put out many, many years ago was that 90% of World of Tanks players have never spent a dime in the game. This was a long time ago. I would love to know what the statistic is now, because I would bet my bottom dollar that more than 50% of the players playing now have spent money. You don't want that, because that means your game is dying. You only have the people who will stay here till it dies because they've put money into the game. You want new players. You want free-to-play players, because many of those free-to-play players, if they like the game, will eventually spend money. That's what you want. That's what you need. +1, -1 will help this. And because there's less diversity among the tiers, you are going to have more fair matches, because one of the problems I've been having playing my tier 8s is finding myself in tier 10 games with this skill-based matchmaking. In these tier 10 games, and I'm in a tier 8, I'm going up against a Super Unicum playing in his Tehran or playing in some other tier 10 tank, and I'm in my Tiger 2. I'm losing those games. And that's no fun. This won't be so much of an issue anymore, because now, first of all, I want to shoot this effect so that I can concentrate better. Boom, there we go. Okay, this won't be so much an issue now, because the worst it's gonna be is me and my Tiger 2 versus a Super Unicum in his tier 9, rather than me and my Tiger 2 versus Super Unicum in his tier 10. And so you have this imbalanced matchmaking, a very, very imbalanced matchmaking. +2, -2 will lead to faster games, or has led to faster games, and that's one of the reasons why. Because the game is balancing the teams based on their stats rather than the tanks they are driving. That is no good, because you have, again, your Super Unicums fighting other Super Unicums with a 2-tier discrepancy. That's not good. That's horrible. And so this will help fix that problem. Now we find ourselves in a 2 versus 4. I've kind of given out the points I needed to. +1, -1 is a good thing. It will always be a good thing. Even if you don't like it, it is a good thing for the game. More than likely, if you do not like it, you are playing more top tier tanks than others. Because those of us who sit back and grind tanks, like I do not have a good time. And just to put this into even more perspective, because I want to do that for you, I am a Super Unicum. My recent stats right now are over 5,000 WN8, and I can't stand +2, -2 matchmaking, because I'm somebody who grinds my tanks. I grind my tech trees. I play stock tanks. It's miserable. So now take the average player with 1,400 WN8, put them in a stock tank, put them 2 tiers lower. They get crushed. It's no fun for them. And now let's inverse that. Take this really good player, take this really bad player, put them at top tier. Put them in their tier 10, fighting tier 8s. They're still not having fun, because they're getting crushed because the enemy team has a good player at tier 10. So their team loses. It's a lose-lose situation. This is the best way to help bad players, new players, without giving them a straight-up advantage that Wargaming have been doing with RNG, trying to put them on good teams because of the skill-based matchmaking, and so on and so forth. That's not good. You can't cater to bad players like that. You need to cater to players as a whole. +1, -1 affects everyone in the same way, while still making it easier for the players who aren't that good at the game, because they don't have to carry as much weight. And when they're bottom tier, they don't have to worry about being smoked by tanks 2 tiers higher than them. And so, again, it is a win-win. But that is going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, slap that like button, comment, and subscribe. I hope you can see through this replay why +2, -2 is such a bad thing, especially at that beginning there. All their 6s near the bottom. They couldn't do anything. 100 damage from their top tier 6. Nice. And I'll see you all later. Leave your thoughts and your opinions in the comments below. Take care, and peace out.